All right, everyone, since it's, still early in the year here, it's time to do a quick update on Dailymotion as far as the growth that's concerned there. I look at this as sort of a long-term military campaign. That's the way that I look at content creation at this point because really we're surrounded by enemies, big tech, flunkies, and goons and goofballs within the legacy media who are propagandistically trying to pick us off one by one. And so it's become necessary over time to branch out. If you're a creator, you can't just make videos on one platform. You got to make videos on, at least 2 or 3 of them. I make them at this point on 4. If you got a blog, it shouldn't just be a blog spot. It shouldn't just be a WordPress. It shouldn't just be a Tumblr, although I don't think anyone uses Tumblr anymore now that they don't have porn there. You got to branch out. Crowdfunding, use multiple sites. Don't just take one form of crypto. Everything has to be diversified at this point because we're not even sure now that we're in the transition period between the older tech paradigm and the next one that's to come, partially alt-tech in nature. We're not sure exactly which sites and services are necessarily going to take off at any given time. Could be that tomorrow, something could happen tomorrow and all of a sudden BitChute is 10 times the size next week. That could happen. Those who have invested early and often already promulgated themselves on site benefit from such situations. People that got in early on the first wave of social media many years ago are now, generally speaking, they're far ahead of other people. They rode the gravy train, they got more wealthy, they got more powerful, that they were able to spread their influence around more. I believe that Clankdom as an ideology and as a brand and movement needs to have a seat at the table. Now, we've already established our foothold very well. Number 1 on BitChute, subscriber-wise, increasing audience on Library. But sometimes the old is also new. Dailymotion, I believe, is technically older than YouTube. There will be a link in the description of this video, cross-platform. And if you're watching on YouTube, there will also be a link in the comment section. I'll pin it. You should join me on Dailymotion. It is an established site. If you're talking about, concerns, one of the concerns people have had with alternatives to YouTube, as far as video creation, has been, well, this site might not last. Well, Dailymotion, again, is at least as old as YouTube, is a large website. Technically, it's very fiscally viable. You got to understand, in the Francophone-speaking world and in certain other enclaves, it's the main video hosting site. It's also got a bunch of movies on there that technically infringe all sorts of copyright. For some reason, I guess the French government doesn't care so much. They only care if you say naughty things about religion. Blasphemy, I think they have blasphemy laws in France. I've got to keep that in mind occasionally during my videos. If I'm uploading them there. There are a couple times I've had to not upload videos to Dailymotion because I figured they probably breached TOS. Of course, if you're using it as an alternative to a site where you're afraid of potentially being suppressed, you don't want to be suppressed on that alternative site as well. Dailymotion is viable. Loads quickly. It's got, I think, 720 quality. It supports, everything that I basically need for my video making. So I ask you to join me there. Now, as far as the statistics go, Clankdom has already quickly risen up well within the top 20,000 channels now for views. I can't even remember the position. I think it's in the top 600 for followers. This is on, again, a relatively large website. Dailymotion is one of the top 100 websites in the world. I'm in the top 1,000 as far as follower count on the site. Now, that means a little bit less. Your subscriber total on YouTube or BitChute matters a lot. On Dailymotion, it's less geared towards subscriber and channel style development. That being said, though, that's still a real goddamn commanding position considering the fact that until a couple of years ago, I really wasn't investing any effort on the site at all. There is a return on investment there. There is now a native audience that some of you will watch this video on Dailymotion primarily. There are now people that actually do that, some hundreds of them it appears. That's not insignificant considering the fact that, again, outside of the Francophone and similar content, there is a lot less fan engagement on Dailymotion. But what if the main block of people on Dailymotion who were speaking English were expat former YouTubers predominantly who were afraid of suppression or being banned? That'd be quite an interesting time. It's not like Dailymotion can be swayed as easily as an alt-tech firm 1/100th the size. Makes it a little bit different. It's interesting. Again, I'm going to note this yet again. I have to note this every time I talk about the issue. It's interesting how sites based outside of the U.S. in part or in whole, or that use foreign registrars and processors for payments and stuff, are the free speech sites. It is terrible to me that the U.S. doesn't corner the market on free speech tech anymore. It did. And literally YouTube and Facebook and sites like that cornered the market. Very libertarian early ethos to these sites. They didn't really care what you were doing. YouTube, they only cared if you uploaded lesbians kissing. They didn't care if you said Nazi stuff or uploaded a Hitler documentary or if you talked about drugs or whatever. They cared if there was anything sexual or even suggestive was a problem. Other than that, you can forget about it. They didn't care. Now it's the opposite. Now they're like House of Air. They have to spend 4 days before they ban it. It's literally about dudes shitting on each other sexually. Dailymotion is a good site. You have to understand, a lot of people won't give it credit where credit's due. They say, well, it's riddled with ads. You're not using ad blocker? Why? As far as the desktop experience, I know that there are apps on your phone you can use for blocking ads now too. It's not just the official app stores anyway. Can't you fucking download something that's from... Can't you get a hacker to deal with your phone so you don't have to look at ads every time you go on the internet? Can't you get your tech-literate high schooler friend to do that or something? Find somebody who's a teenager. Trust me, they'll be able to jailbreak your phone and do everything because they can always do that. I can't even fucking turn most of the smartphones on at this point. I'd have to pay somebody to set it up if I wanted to use it regularly. I've been totally left behind in the app generation sort of stuff. So yeah, link in the description. There will also be a link pinned if you're on YouTube. Join me on Dailymotion because Clankdom is surging there. I think of all of the alt-tech, alt-commentary people, I think I'm probably on top there as well as on BitChute. It's going to pay off. I'm telling you that the way in which tech works now is not the way in which it's going to work at the end of this decade. There's an enormous potential payoff for not that much actual effort. I've considered making Dailymotion exclusives for this reason, despite the fact that it's not even new tech. You got to keep that in mind. Sometimes you have to look to the old as well. That's about all. Peace out.